I am living in the moonlight, and I live my life this way. Now I'm older, I can see nothing more to say.
I was just thinking that it's not easy, as I mentioned earlier, to organize and remember everything that crosses my mind. Sometimes you think that when you stop, you shouldn't, because otherwise you'll end up paying attention to matters that are just as important, but are often already resolving themselves. These are things I've been annoyed by for years, but I've always had to hear. What do you want to do about it? Do you have a solution? Do you know which direction we should go? Do you dare to take the lead, to peacefully turn the entire world upside down, like Gandhi could have done if he had access to today's technology? When you combine the internet and all those other possibilities into a cohesive whole and start making positive TV, like for example the Discovery Channel, which lets everyone enjoy the many things we, as ordinary citizens, can never reach, or for which one must work themselves to death to afford. You can provide education and knowledge in a new way. These films can also be seen as propaganda films for a future that awaits us. You can store all this knowledge to do good things with it and bring about change. Education, knowledge of matters, and training are very important to set up an economy that is entirely different in structure from the current one. An economy that is simple and is not about what do you want, but more about what can I do for you. An economic plan that should make people think and is based on all the things I've ever seen on television. And something I've seen on television must almost certainly be true because my hearing, memory, and brain are set up to gather information. I think, therefore I am, or something like that. What I see with my own eyes is true. I am that doubting Thomas, that heathen who needs to see to believe, the farmer who doesn't eat what he doesn't know, but also someone who dares to put things into perspective and knows that all complex matters have only one reason: to let you as a human evolve into a free spirit in the future. Not those beliefs with all those imposed dogmas, but a healthy, normal, strong belief, namely trust in humanity itself and the primal thought we must take up again. Birds of a feather flock together and follow Darwin's law. But do this without excluding all the deviants and making enemies of them. Accept that nature, of which we are also a part, is precisely the most important part of a way of thinking. Not a cult, but just a very simple approach.
I've mentioned before that we are made up of atoms and thus a part of the cosmos, with various atoms dispersing into different things after my death. If you know that, you can also imagine that your soul, an important part of the whole, disappears into what we would most like to be, a star born from the Big Bang, the very beginning. This beginning is embedded in our subconscious because we already know that our soul is the origin of a new star, a new birth. If you know that this is the beginning and the end, then why do we worry so much? Sure, you might say, that guy is crazy, what kind of nonsense is this? But try proving that I am. Even more so, if I were to film this as the creation story, then it would be on film and could seem just as real to someone who knows nothing about special effects. It's important throughout the entire book to keep seeing things as fiction, or is it truth, or, as I said earlier, a madman's diary. I'll stop here for now. There's so much more to write. I'm glad I saved what I wrote a year and a half ago, and I should probably take it to the tax office to document it all. Not because it's such a great story, but because I find the whole thing so important, and what's happening now is just fragments of where it should be headed. I'm getting a bit paranoid typing this on the internet, because you know how it goes with computers and conspiracies. Someone gets alerted by the appearance of a word on their computer, a word that rings a bell for them. They trace where it's coming from, and at the moment I'm typing this, I'm being monitored by a government agency that is supposed to be there for me, created to provide me with good welfare and to prioritize my humanity above all. No, you become a state threat because the issues you're raising must be kept secret from the public. The whole world revolves around self-glorification. which is precisely what they condemn in their self-invented Bibles and books. You shall not worship false idols, a statement made at a time when people didn't understand phenomena like natural events and thus attributed everything to gods. They had no knowledge or understanding like we do now. Just look at myself in this case. I'm not an atomic scientist or a highly educated scientific teacher. I'm just someone who has talked to strange people all his life. People I was initially afraid of, people I thought I could easily talk under the table, which is something I enjoy doing, discussing important world matters.
After a brief interlude with Frank, a buddy of mine, I actually wanted to send him a piece, but something is holding me back. Firstly, because the story is far from complete, and only bits and pieces will disappear over the internet, leading to things being taken out of context. It seems paranoid what I'm telling, but I've seen this on television and it could be true. Is it still a game? Yes, it's still a game, but with a different manual. The $100,000 question is it fake or is it real? No, as much as I fear that what I write will be seen as blasphemy and rambling of a lunatic, a genius is only honored after he's dead. Not me. I'll go underground and never be heard from again. Rest. I would like to disappear into anonymity, knowing that I've left something behind for my offspring, ending a beautiful life with all its ups and downs, moving on to another life of anonymity and only being allowed to think of myself. This could also involve other people and by no means has to be the end. There are so many things still wrong in this society, and if there were truly a just God, if he dares not to say or do anything, then he shouldn't mind if I take the opportunity to put some things in order. Because if he really exists, he should somehow stop me now, because according to my previous beliefs, what I'm writing now is a serious accusation against a whole generation of people and believers who still cling to this outdated story. I'm still writing so far so good. You can't save an entire nation in a day, but if I say that you could, then I'm considered crazy. With current technology, it should be possible. No, instead of helping, they prefer to flatten a continent. A world that has an even greater disadvantage because self-glorification is still very common, and everything happens again in the name of it. Peoples who haven't even passed the sexual revolution, who through the oppression of women, seriously infringe upon the rights of man as laid down by the United Nations. The same club that, when America decides which way to go, acts like an afterthought, whose bread one eats, one's word one speaks.
All the memories of my childhood, they will never fade away. Now I'm older, I can see they have taught me how to play.